Chapter 5. Lost on the Moor. Norman watched the van disappear round a bend. "Don't panic," he thought. "I've got to find the trail again." He looked all round and saw a piece of paper where the van had stood. "Oh, great," he said. But when he picked the paper up, he found it had writing on it, and it wasn't Debbie's. It was no use to Norman, but he put it in his pocket and walked on, hoping he was going the right way. Then he heard a sound behind him, like an animal, a large animal. He was scared to turn round. "Oh, no," he thought. "It's the beast, and I'm on my own." But it wasn't the beast. It was Stripey. "Wait for me," shouted Norman, as the badger trotted off. Norman ran after him, and just over the next hill he saw Debbie, Kieran, and Mr. North. "Straight over that ridge," said Mr. North. "You'll see the farm from there." "What about a cup of tea?" asked Debbie. "I told you, I'm not fond of people. I like animals best. But you can come and see me and the badger again, if you like." "Goodbye," said Mr. North. "He seemed a funny sort of man," said Norman. "He's all right. He's the badger man," said Kieran. "I met 2 RSPCA men looking for pony rustlers," said Norman. "Maybe that's what your badger man does. Maybe he's a crook who steals animals." "Pony rustlers? On Dartmoor?" said Debbie, laughing. "You must be out of your tiny mind. Or you're making it up." "You watch it, badger girl," said Norman. "I know what's what. The RSPCA men left this paper behind." "Doesn't say anything about RSPCA," said Debbie. "You are out of your tiny mind." Norman looked cross and put the paper in his pocket again. When they got back to the farm, Mrs. Rudge and Jane Miles looked pleased to see them. "No harm done," said Mrs. Rudge when she heard their story. "But no more wandering off, please." Later on, Kieran saw something in the paper. More ponies stolen. It was about pony rustling, and there was a photograph with it. "There you are," said Norman. "I told you I know what's what. I bet that badger man is the rustler. We ought to tell the RSPCA men." "If they are RSPCA men," said Debbie. "Let's see that piece of paper again." They looked hard at it. "Barker and Deal," said Kieran. "Mick works for a man called Barker." Mick was in the yard. "Mick," said Debbie, "is Mr. Barker in the RSPCA?" "Ha ha! Him?" Mick laughed. "Not exactly." "Is he a bald man with a white van?" said Norman. "That's right," said Mick. "What about him?" "I saw him," said Norman. "He was telling me about pony rustling." Mick stared at him. Now listen, you kids, he said. You forget about pony rustling. Mr. Barker was having a joke. You forget about ponies and stick to badgers. Got it?